So the doctors just, yeah, if they can't give you a pill for it or give you surgery, they have no use for you.
Danielle, how did you find carnivore?
Um, it's a long story. It started a long time ago. I've been carnivore for about a year now, but mostly from autoimmune issues. Um, I started getting sick back in like 2012, just different symptoms coming on, but was one of those where the doctor's like, don't know why you're having symptoms, don't know what to tell you. You know, it's nothing they can find in tests or anything. I don't know. I think 2018, I had breast implants. In 2018, I saw a thing that maybe those were making me sick. So I took them out. And then in 2019, I did keto. And during that time, I actually felt really good. I lost like 35 pounds. So I thought it might be a combination of removing the implants, doing keto, like my body was healing. And I was feeling really good. And then me and my husband retired and we started traveling in a motorhome. So it was kind of hard to keep up with the keto. So we stopped. We got COVID in the very beginning, like right when it was shutting down. We were leaving Kansas for California. And I think that's how we got it. We had been visiting. So I got really sick. And for like weeks on end, I kept saying, I feel like I'm relapsing. Like, can you even get it again? Because we didn't know. But I just kept getting sick. I was sleeping like 16 hours a day. It just wasn't getting better. So then we decided to move to Kansas in 2022. And it's a 3-day drive. So it's all day driving, sleep, all day driving. And we weren't even sure if I could do it. Like, we're used to taking turns. We had to each drive our own cars, pull trailers. So my husband was actually looking at storage places along the way in case I couldn't make it. So I did. I made it somehow. And we moved into a house. It's kind of older, so we wanted to do some updates. And I thought, I don't even know if I could do that. I had gotten to the point where I was just in bed all the time. I was sick. I was in bed. I wasn't getting better. So last year, in end of March, I ended up in the ER with severe abdominal pain. And they ran a bunch of tests because they thought it might be appendicitis, but all the tests came back negative. They said, follow up with your doctor. Went to my doctor. He ran a bunch of tests, couldn't find anything. So I just switched and went to functional medicine. The functional medicine doctor ran all their tests and came back. I tested positive for Hashimoto's, lupus, metabolic syndrome, and hyperinsulinemia, or I can't think of the other term for it, but blood sugar problems. And I had been diagnosed previously with fibromyalgia, but I think they just kind of throw that in there because they don't know what to tell you, honestly. So I started working with when I came home from the hospital, I was afraid to eat. I was afraid. I didn't know what caused the pain. I was afraid for it to happen again. I just started eating steak and rice. That's all I ate. One night I made a dessert. And after we ate the dessert, we were watching TV. I had gone into the bathroom and I noticed my whole face was just flushed and red. And I was like, I wonder if it's a histamine issue. I had heard about it a long time ago. So I started searching it, and sure enough, histamine issues can cause abdominal pain. And I thought, okay, something's going on with whatever I'm eating. Well, by then I wasn't eating much. So went to functional medicine, started working with them. And, they give you a bunch of supplements, and they didn't tell me what I could eat. They just told me what not to eat. And I had been gluten-free for about 3 years, but not really strict. Like, I would eat at a restaurant and it would say gluten-free, but I don't know if there was flour back there touching the food or, But they also said no corn, no gluten, no corn, no dairy, no potatoes, no rice. And I'm like, okay, I'm only eating meat and rice. Now I got to get rid of the rice. So I thought, okay, I remember when I was keto, back then a bunch of people were starting to switch to carnivore. So it was in the back of my mind. But when I did keto, I was a vegetarian. So I wasn't paying attention to the ones switching to carnivore. I just thought they were being more strict on their carbs. I didn't think about it being for health reasons. So I thought, all right, I'm just going to eat meat then. So I started going back to, I typed in carnivore on YouTube. And of course, Dr. Berry popped up, which is the one I had watched before when I was doing keto. So then I just started watching carnivore videos. And now it's a lot more people, a lot more doctors talking about it, like people's stories on how it's helped them. Where before it was more of a, yeah, we're keto, but we're going to go carnivore. And it wasn't really explained health reasons or anything. So I still did the functional medicine. So I did their supplements that they told me to do. And I was getting my blood tested every 3 months. So my numbers kept coming back better and better. And my functional medicine doctor, I finally told her, I said, no, she said, you're basically just eating carnivore. And I said, actually, yeah, that's what I'm eating. And she said, I'm fine with that. So I thought, okay, cool. I know. So I want to say it's been a little over a year. It was about June of last year that I started. And I've had a couple of things along the way where my diet's very limited because I don't eat seafood. I don't like chicken. I really only eat steak, hamburger, eggs, and bacon. And that's more for the taste of it. I don't really care for the other foods. I tried liver last week. I did not like it, so I've just been that way. And then every once in a while, I'll add like a seasoning or a flavor and I will break out in a rash again. I was using organic seasoning from Redmond's, and I thought I was getting sick. My nose was plugging up every day, and I'm like, I'm getting sick again. And then one day I was like, this has gone on too long. I wonder what it is. What's the only thing I was eating extra? And I took it out, and instantly my nose was not stuffed up again. So I tried mustard. I have an issue with vinegar, I think, because then boom, the mustard started. This is still like recovering from the seasoning salt because it always shows in my face first. But so just in doing the carnivore, obviously, like everybody else, I feel a lot better, but it's the symptoms that it alleviated. I had gotten a rash that I had for like a year. It would not go away. My doctor gave me a cream for it. And I would put the cream on in one spot and it would just pop up somewhere else. And like for a constant year, it just kept coming back. And I actually went to a rheumatologist and she said, that's a food allergy. And I was like, really? I've had it for a year and nobody's told me that. She said, yeah, that's a food allergy. So my body's very sensitive to all these other foods, which I didn't know. So all the weird symptoms that I didn't even know was a symptom went away. And, but the main symptoms, the pain, the fatigue where I couldn't get out of bed, I used to get these muscle pains where I can only describe it as like my muscles felt like they were tearing away from the bones, like that bad. And that's gone. Leg cramps, foot cramps, all that. I used to get my bones. I used to tell my husband, I feel like I could feel each bone in my foot individually hurting. And same with my hands. Though that's gone. I couldn't tell you the last time I had that. I saw somebody on your show. She was talking about misophonia, the sensitivity to noise, and had that. Walked around with earplugs, everywhere I went because I never knew if it was going to be too loud for me. My sleep was terrible. I wake up, all night long. Now I go to bed at 10. I'm up at 5. Don't need an alarm, just clockwork. Yeah, it's great. And I sleep all night. you know, I always had dry hair, dry skin, nails, cuticles, all that. And I thought it was because I lived in the desert of California. But we moved to Kansas where it's very humid, and it didn't change because it was the food. Gosh, so many different things. I know when we first moved here, I started getting dandruff. Never in my life have I had dandruff. And that's gone. You know, and that was weird. That was like out of the blue, just started, couldn't figure out why. My hair was falling out too, and it's not completely back yet. I actually have really curly hair too, and I wear a hat most of the time. But it's just thinned out so much, and I'm hoping that comes back. But I mean, that's mostly it. It was just from being so sick. And obviously, like everybody else, I went vegetarian first, and that didn't help at all. And it was easy for me to go vegetarian because I never felt right eating animals. I was one of those people. I was like, I don't want to eat animals. And so it was easy to go vegetarian. But I was just miserable. And when I started eating meat again, steak was the only thing I could eat. Nothing else tasted good. I didn't like it. Now I've gotten where I could eat hamburger again. I just have no desire to eat anything else. So that's kind of like bacon and eggs for breakfast, and either steak or hamburger for dinner every day. And that's just what I eat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I mean, congratulations on the results.
Thank you.
How is your husband with this? Is he joining you?
No, and I wish he would, because he has dystonia, which I saw in your show, and I had him watch that show. His is in his eyes, where his eyes are forced closed all the time. Yeah. And he gets Botox right now to paralyze those muscles, but it's not 100%. And he gets it every 3 months, but it wears off after it never makes it to 3 months. Now he's been diagnosed about 6 or 7 months now. It hasn't been that long, but he's had the problem for a long time. We just didn't know what it was. So I showed him your video of that couple where the lady had it. And he kind of started a little bit, but then he kind of backed off of it. So he knows, we kind of just cook our own food. And if he comes around to it, I'll be so excited. But if he doesn't, there's nothing I can do about it. He knows what I've been through. He knows how I am now. So he's seen it work on me. I just don't know that he's convinced it'll work on him yet. Even after watching that video. I actually searched that video. I searched for carnivore dystonia for that reason. Yeah. And it's what he has, not that common. So, go ahead.
I think what can happen as well is you can see people getting better around you, but you've lived with something for so long, you can feel like, it's never going to go away for me.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe it won't work. It doesn't work for that. It may be a thing of he thinks, okay, it worked for you, but that's you. I do have a history of thyroid issues in my family, autoimmune in my family, where he technically doesn't. So, it may be a thing of, or maybe he just doesn't want to eat meat every day. He's always been a low fat chicken, more salads kind of thing. So for him to switch to just meat would be a drastic change for him. So I just don't know that he's ready for that. But
so for you going this way after being vegetarian and not really liking meat at all, how hard was it for you to have that first bite of steak?
Well, when I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, my doctor said to me, by the way, just so you know, people with fibromyalgia tend to have a gluten problem too. But the only way to know is to remove it from your diet for 6 months and then reintroduce it. And I was like, I don't have a gluten problem. I didn't understand it. So, but when I went keto, it naturally removed gluten and I didn't even realize it. So when I went off keto and I started eating gluten again, one day I looked at my husband and I said, I think I have a gluten problem. So if I'm going to eliminate gluten, I'm going to add back meat, because what am I going to eat if I don't? Well, my favorite meat is filet mignon steak. So that steak's great, you know. So that was what I added back, was just that. When I went, and I felt bad, but it tasted really good. And when I went to eat a hamburger without the bun, just the lettuce wrap, the grease from the hamburger went into my mouth and I couldn't eat it. So I didn't eat hamburger for years. So when I first introduced meat, it was just the filet mignon steak once a week or something like that. It wasn't a lot at first. And it wasn't until I was like, I'm just going to do carnivore. And my husband said, so you're going to eat filet mignon every day? And I'm like, no, actually, because there's no fat on it. You know, I need to try a fattier steak. And I wasn't big on ribeye. So now I eat the New York strip steak. It's, you know, higher fat. And I render my own fat that I put on top of the steak, because I can't eat butter because I can't eat dairy. So it's just fat for me. But so it was at first, I did kind of feel bad. But, you know, I mean, I'd be eating just salad every day, if not, you know. And it makes me feel so much better now that I get it now. I get it way more after listening to everybody talk about it and the way that we should be eating and all that. I get it more. And I'm a spiritual person. And this spiritual person I was talking to said to me one day, she said, if every human on earth went vegan today, the lion would still eat the gazelle. It's just how it goes. And that kind of sunk in and helped me like understand that it's like the food chain, you know. So
yeah. So how long were you doing carnivore before you realized, okay, there's something to this?
Well, so it was pretty quick, but I was also doing functional medicine. So for a little while, I was like, I don't know if it's all these supplements I'm taking and cleaning my gut and all that, or the carnivore. Like, how do I know the difference? Because I'm doing them at the same time. That's why I was kind of waited a while too before I would be like, no, I'm full carnivore. And this is how it helped me, because I wasn't sure which one it was or if it was both. So, but I mean, within maybe 2 weeks at the most, energy wise and stuff, I was already feeling better. I mean, it was very quick. And I do know it's mostly carnivore because a couple times where I've gone off and cheated, it's instantly feeling like crap, basically. So, and I haven't taken their supplements in a long time. And then we were doing some remodeling on the house, and I was doing like some deep cleaning and stuff. We have a lot of wood, so, you know, treating the woods and stuff. I wasn't exercising. I was just doing that. And one day I went to go put my hair in a bun, and I went, oh my God, like I have definition of muscle in my arms that I didn't have before. So it's things like that. I know that's carnivore. That's not supplements from the doctor. And the supplements I really only did for the first 3 months. But my blood work kept getting better and better each 3 months after that. Like my Hashimoto's lupus, what doesn't even test positive for me anymore. My Hashimoto's, my antibodies are down every time I test them, and my TSH is up, which is what we wanted. The metabolic syndrome doesn't test positive anymore. A lot of that's because I'm sleeping better and all that. And my blood sugar is always coming. My A1C is coming down too. They don't test your fasting insulin. So I keep thinking I might test that myself one day. I just haven't. So I would say within 2 weeks, I was feeling a lot better already. You know, I used to take naps every day. I don't take naps anymore during the day. And that stopped pretty quick too.
Nice. I mean that just like not having to take naps and having more energy and those kind of things just makes you much more productive and makes you feel like you get more out of the day, right?
100%. I mean, I'm waking up at 5 in the morning now, where before I would go to bed and then I would wake up. Sometimes I wake up at 3 and stay up till 5, and then I would sleep till 7 or 8. Then I would get up, and after a couple hours, I would take a nap. Like, I was really just not up for any long period of time. We actually retired in 2018, but I quit working. I was self-employed. I quit working before that because I had such a struggle with finishing my work and even wanting to get out of bed. I mean, I was just done. So now it's, I get up, I do stuff around my house. We're still doing projects and stuff like that, or go do whatever we need to do for the day. And I just don't sleep in the day anymore. And by 10 o'clock, I'm ready to pass out. And then I'm up the next day. I know I used to be the person who would stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning. I used to type reports, and I would wait till my kids went to bed, and I'd stay up till 2 and 3 in the morning doing my reports. No big deal. I felt like I was nocturnal, So my sleep's been off for years. I didn't know anything about metabolic syndrome and circadian rhythm and all that. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I just thought my body naturally liked to stay up at night. Not that it was a pot of coffee I drank every day. It was just me naturally wanting to stay up all night. And I did reintroduce coffee. I had quit coffee, and I did reintroduce it. And I'm thinking about pulling it back out again. I just drink it black, so there's nothing extra in it. But I think I might pull it back out again just to see the difference. Can I feel better without it?
Yeah,
But
the biggest change for me with the coffee was I felt good on Carnivore with coffee, but I knew it was affecting my sleep. And it's kind of taking the coffee out has kind of had this a little bit strange effect. Like, because I'm sleeping better, but I'm sleeping so much better that when my head hits the pillow, I'm out within 5 minutes. I've had mornings where I've woken up and I've had a phone call 15 minutes after I went to bed and like didn't hear anything, and normal before that I would have been a much lighter sleeper, and like if there was a phone call or a knock at the door or something, I was awake. And now I'm just out cold in 5 minutes. It's amazing.
that's kind of how I feel. My dog sometimes likes to bark in the middle of the night, and it never wakes me up anymore. And it used to be the opposite. My husband used to be dead to the world, like won't wake up till he had to, where now he hears her right away and gets up, where not me. Some nights I don't even know that she barked. So it's crazy how much better I sleep now. And my coffee, I don't have it in the daytime. It's only in the morning. So that might be helping, where if I have it later in the day. Oh, I do still drink tea at night though. I drink herbal tea at night, like around 7. When me and my husband sit down, we watch like maybe 2 hours of TV at night, and we drink tea. And I know there's oxalates in it, but I'm kind of at this point like, let me just do what I'm doing because it seems to be working, and I haven't had any issues with that. And I think about it sometimes about removing it, but I enjoy it. So, and it's just, there's nothing in the tea either. It's just the tea. Like I don't put sugar or cream or anything like that in it. And coffee, I've always drank black, never put anything in it. So,
yeah.
but
So, you're in, sorry, you said Kansas now, is that right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what is it like there as far as when you go shopping? Do you go to like a Costco or something to get your meat, or do you have a local rancher or anything?
No, so we don't have Costco in my town. It's like 2 hours away. Walmart or the Hy-Vee is the grocery store. I did start ordering from a company called Wild Pastures, which is the natural delivery to your door beef. But the problem is I don't eat that much variety. So I wouldn't be able to, like, I couldn't just get my steaks and bacon from them. So right now I just buy whatever's at the store. And I really didn't like the taste of that kind of meat. I just didn't like it. So I'm kind of lazy about cooking because I have to cook every meal. So I buy the burger patties that are already patties, so I could just throw them in the air fryer, or I buy the steaks and throw them in the air fryer. And then in the mornings, I cook my bacon and eggs. Sometimes I pre-cook the bacon, so I have it for a few days as opposed to having to fry bacon every morning on my stove. But other than that, everything I just throw in the air fryer, or I use one frying pan and cook it. And I just go to Walmart once or twice a week, stock up, and then I'm good for the week. But I think I'm doing okay with that. I know my doctor told me with autoimmune, I should eat the cleaner food, the grass-fed. But I'm feeling okay not eating it, and it tastes better to me. So I just keep eating it, the way I have. I did try it. I just didn't care for it. And, you can't select everything you want. So,
yeah, I think, if it's working for you, then that's the most important thing, right?
yeah, that's what was my thinking. Because with the hamburger meat and stuff, I would have to season it in some way, and I'm having issues with that. So I'm better off not doing that. And even in the seasoning, because I thought it was, Redmond's real salt seasoning, I just didn't think it would be a big deal. But it is like onion and garlic and celery and, and I don't know which one bothers me. So I'm just better staying just salt. And for a while I used pepper, and then I stopped using the pepper. But with that meat, I would have had to have something else in it to make it taste better for me. Even I put bacon in it just to get through it. But I just didn't care for it. And I tried eating pork chops, and those just didn't agree with me either, because I used to like pork chops. I'm fine with the bacon, but the pork chops did not agree with me. So I'm kind of just meat.
Yeah, I can understand that. If I could just stick to steak all the time, or 100% beef, ground beef all the time, I'd just be quite happy. When you first got started, did you have any cravings, and how did you deal with those?
I didn't at first. It was actually easier in the beginning. It was harder as it got a little longer, because I had that pain so bad. I was so afraid to eat anything else. Like, the pain kind of outweighed the cravings at that point. And after my diagnosis with all these things wrong, I had no idea that I had any of that stuff. And I was just more determined, like, I need to feel better. And I have all these things wrong with me. Like, I actually have a diagnosis now, and I know how to fix it. And fixing it's with food, that I just felt like I didn't have a choice. Like, I have to get this under control, or I'm going to spend the rest of my life in bed, basically. So it got harder only like when we travel. We still have friends and family in California. I have friends and family in Texas. We have some in Colorado. So we like to make a big circle and travel and visit everybody. And we drive. So it's a little harder for me when we travel, because I have to make my own beef jerky, my own hard-boiled eggs, that kind of stuff. But I run out. Like, I can't, We started staying in like Airbnbs or hotels where I could bring like my own frying pan or, stuff like that. But so, it's like, well, I'm going to eat at this restaurant. I'm going to order a hamburger patty and some bacon and just hope nothing else touched it. Or drive-through. There's only one drive-through Wendy's that I can get their hamburger patties and bacon, and it seems to be pretty clean. I don't really like it, but I'll eat it. But then when I'm around all my friends and we're like at the lake and we're on the boat and they're all drinking and just the snacks and everything there, that made it a little harder. It made my mind like start craving stuff a little bit more. Part of me was like, oh my God, I wonder what their blood sugar is. Because, you know, you're more aware of it. But then, you know, like I was fine through the holidays, but then my daughter got married in May and I brought my own hamburger patties to the wedding and I microwaved them. I had cooked them and then I microwaved them and I just ate in the back real quick before everybody else ate. But then her best friend says, hey, I made you some gluten-free cupcakes. You know, I made them especially for you. So I'm like, all right, well, one cupcake, you know, I don't want to not eat them. She made them for me. And I thought I would feel terrible the next day and I didn't. So I thought, oh, well, that's not too bad. So then, of course, well, I could eat something else. So it's kind of does that. I can't go like to the donut shop tomorrow because I ate a cupcake today because I still have to be gluten-free and I have to be very careful with that. Same with dairy. So when I mess up, I can't just go full binge because I probably would. I have to be careful. So but it still makes me, you know, like as soon as I eat something like that, my brain is definitely like, hey, you know, it wasn't too bad this time. It won't be that bad next time. And I have to pull myself back in. But it's funny that it was easier in the beginning just because I was so sick. You know, now I feel better. So, you know, one bad day wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah. So but I hear you on the, you know, you got to be careful if you have that digression, you know, that happened to me. That's most of the time that I've done low carb in the past. That's what's got me. You know, it's like you go out to a friend's place and you'll have like lots of snacks or whatever with, you know, while you're playing cards or whatever it happens to be. And you wake up you go to bed thinking, I'm going to feel awful tomorrow. You wake up the next day and you actually feel somehow better.
Yeah.
Like your body's handled it really well. And then, so you've got that little voice in the back of your head going, you see, it's okay. Just have some more. Just have
100%.
some more. And then it's just downhill from there.
It's like they used to say, like, you know, one is too many and 1,000 never enough. So right. I drank, like, for many years. I drank, like, when we go to the lake, that kind of stuff, socially. And I smoked, you know. So, you know, just the drinking, I just kind of stopped drinking over a period of time. And then I only drink beer most of the time. And beer has gluten in it. So I really just had to stop. And then the smoking, I only quit smoking because when I had my implants taken out, the doctor told me, I'm not doing your surgery unless you quit smoking. And I will test you for nicotine the day of surgery. And if you test positive, you're going to lose your deposit and I'm not doing the surgery. And thank God he did, because nothing else made me stop. So, and I really wanted that surgery because I thought a lot of my sickness was from those implants, and it probably was part of it. But so, and I think about that too, because my friends know I eat this way because I'm sick. Okay. But they're always questioning me. I don't see them that often now because they're in California, but like they came out in May for my daughter's wedding. And my one friend says, so what do you eat every day? And I said, well, for breakfast, I eat 4 eggs and like half a pound of bacon. And she's like, oh my God, I don't even eat 4 eggs in a week. And I said, I know, I get it, you know. And then the conversation moves on because other people are talking, you know, so it kind of goes on to other things. So we don't finish the conversation. But I always think my friends are going to look one day, like if something happens to me, they're going to be like, it was all that meat. And I'm like, forget about all the years that I smoked and I drank and ate carbs and sugar and all that. It's going to be, oh, see, it's all those eggs she ate. So I hope not.
That's like the anti-keto, anti-carnivore doctors that are online, you know, like someone will get a little bit sick when they've been on carnivore and it's like they've been on it for 2 weeks and the doctor is like, you see, and it's like you didn't look at the 20 years of smoking and alcoholism and all this kind of thing that the person had. It's just the 2 weeks of keto that did it to them.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
And none of my doctors ever told me. I know one time my blood sugar was starting to creep up, and this was probably 10 years ago or something. And my doctor says to me, you need to eat the more complex carbs like broccoli. That was his advice to me. And come back in 3 months and we'll test it again. Literally, that's what he said to me. And I was like, okay, like, I mean, I know they don't have a lot of education in nutrition. Um, my chiropractor said, he used to say, if a doctor can't put it in you or take it out of you, they are no use. It's a pill or a surgery, you know, so.
It's kind of scary when you realize how little doctors do know about nutrition, that we've trusted them with advice, and really they're just pulling it out their backside when they're giving you advice. It's just, oh, you're not feeling well, carrots, eat more of those,
Yes. Well, when I went to the ER, they were testing me for appendicitis because of the pain. And they had given me morphine, so I was sleeping, and I hadn't slept in a couple of days. I had been in pain for a couple of days straight. Like, I could not sleep. And so I'm kind of in and out, sleeping on the table. They did a CAT scan and stuff. And this ER doctor walks into me and says, it's not appendicitis. Follow up with your doctor to rule out cancer, and walked right back out of the room. And I was like, wow, that's so rude. So they sent me home with all this paperwork, and I didn't go through the paperwork. It did say it in the paperwork. I went to my doctor. They had to reorder the CAT scan. It was negative, but I went through the blood work on the paperwork one day, and a lot of the blood work said indicative of cancer or autoimmune. So everything I looked up based on their numbers. He never said autoimmune. He said, go get checked for cancer. Not one time did him or my doctor say, well, a lot of these could mean autoimmune too. I didn't even know that showed up in blood work. Not like that. And then, of course, functional medicine, they picked it up right away. Like, these are your numbers. This means this, So the doctors just, if they can't give you a pill for it or give you surgery, they have no use for you.
Yeah.
And I did talk my husband into stopping taking his statins because he was on statins. Yeah. And I'm like, that could be messing with their brain too, because dystonia is from the brain. I'm like, can you at least stop taking those? And, I gave him the whole thing on, they've only proven it can extend your life by like 5 days, maybe. So he did stop doing that. So I was glad about that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, just to go back, that doctor that told you to go and get tested for cancer. Apparently he was the finalist in the Bedside Manner Awards that year.
It's amazing. I've not gone to the ER very often. I think I've gone 3 times in my life, and all 3 times I've had somebody very rude or very bad bedside manner. And the first time I was having panic attacks. I had a bad car accident, and it kind of just started triggering these panic attacks, but it was the 80s. And back then, you didn't go into an ER and they said, oh, that's a panic attack. Like, it just wasn't, I never even heard of them at that time. And the doctor, I had been there twice, and he came in and yelled at me, you are 21 years old. There is nothing physically wrong with you. Your problems are in your head. And be on your way. Yeah. So that was one. One time I got sick and I got dehydrated, and this nurse couldn't get blood because my body was cramping. I was so dehydrated, and he was yelling at me to lay still. And I'm like, my whole body's cramping. How do I lay still? And he's like, this is nothing. I had open heart surgery. And I'm like, oh, and they took it out? I mean, so what? So, and then this time, this doctor. So I've never had a good experience where like they cared about what was wrong with me. It was like, if it's not in the blood work or on the test, go home because we can't help you here. Like, why are you wasting our time, kind of a thing, So it takes a lot for me to go to the ER. And my doctor that I have out here, I really like him. He's a really nice guy, and he really works with me. But he is one of those like, oh, so you have anxiety and panic attacks. Do you want medicine for that? And I'm like, no, I've pretty much been able to control it unless I have to get on an airplane. I don't need medicine. I've had it since the 80s. And, well, antidepressant kind of, I'm like, no, I don't need antidepressants, and he always wants to do, I don't take immunizations. Not that I'm against them. I just don't know what's going to go into my body that might trigger me getting sick again. And if it's not necessary, I don't want it. So he'll always be like, you want the flu shot? No. You do for your tetanus shot? Nope, don't need it. He's like, can I offer you any shots today? No. And so he is always trying to be like, what medicine would you need? What shots do you need? Oh, let's do some testing, let's do some screening. I don't even want screening. I just want to be left alone and just let me eat my food and feel better. That's all I want, But he is a nice guy and he understands when I tell him no, he doesn't get pushy with it. So that's good. But yeah, different story.
Mm. Yeah, you mentioned flu shots. Like I've had one flu shot my whole life.
I've never had one.
Started working for a bank and they were offering them free to staff. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'll get it. I've never had one before. I'll get it. And hopefully I won't get the flu this year. That year was the sickest I've ever been. So it was like first and last time. I'm like, never doing this again.
I've never gotten one because when I was young, one of my best friends got one when they first came out with them. And she got so sick from the shot that I'm like, oh, I'm never getting that shot. And I never have. My husband gets one every year. We've been married for 30 years. Like he gets it every year. I never get it. And I don't think either one of us get any more sick than the other, but it works for me not getting it, so I just don't. And like, my kids are hit and miss. They're just not consistent with that kind of stuff. I don't know. I just don't. Once you see somebody have a bad reaction to something, it's really hard to be confident that it won't happen to you. And,
right.
So I just never wanted it, never got it. And then with tetanus, it's so hard to get tetanus. I just don't see to get a shot every 10 years because you might get it, I watch your videos every morning because like everybody says, you got to remember your why. And for me, if I listen to a carnivore video every day, and I like the doctor's videos, don't get me wrong, but I don't need the medical so much every day, but the people's stories, because there's always at least one of them that's, oh, I had that too. Like there's just so much commonality, even if it's not exactly the same. Somebody's always going to say something where I'm like, oh yeah, me too. And I might not even have thought about it. There might be symptoms that I had before that I forgot about now that they're gone. And they'll say something. I'm like, oh my God, I used to have that too.
So Danielle, if someone came to you, one of your friends came to you and said, look, I see you have good results with this carnivore thing. Sounds pretty crazy, but I want to give it a try. What advice would you give them for getting started?
Well, so my sister, she has rheumatoid arthritis. She had gone to the doctor and it's much worse now. They want to put her on medicine. And I'm like, you understand. So with autoimmune, I have autoimmune. We have tons of the same symptoms. They said, they're just going to give you immunosuppressant medicine. Like that's the only thing they can give you for it. It's just going to make it worse. You've seen how much better I feel. Why don't you just try carnivore? And she's like, I don't even know how to get started. Like, what about the food I have in my fridge right now? And I said, well, just start weaning off of it. Just start, like, don't eat bread anymore after today, and then next week cut something else out because I think it's too drastic for some people just to stop overnight. I'm not, had I not been sick, I don't know that I would have been able to do it overnight. And really, if it works for you, then go for it. But I think it's easier to do it in phases. That's why people with keto switched over to carnivore so easily because they had eliminated so much stuff already. So it's, you know, gluten number one for me, or anybody with autoimmune, gluten should be number one. Gluten, corn, and potatoes, because the corn and potatoes will do the same thing as the gluten. Do that first, and then sugar, obviously. You know, I don't know if you could wean down on sugar, go for it. I can't. Like, I can't only eat this much sugar today. It's like saying just smoke one cigarette today, you know, or wean down on cigarettes. Just wean down, you know. It doesn't work that way. Not for me, it didn't. But you don't have to cut everything in one day. You know, start upping your protein, start upping your fat, and, you know, remove the gluten. And then next week, remove the sugar. You know, I would just say do it in increments as best you can, if you can. If not, then cut it out. Even with my coffee, you know, my doctor said, don't stop drinking coffee tomorrow because you're going to get raging headaches. You know, drink 3/4 of a cup. And then after a couple of days, drink half a cup. Like, so even with the coffee, it was like a step down. And I could do that. But like I said, if it's sugar, no. If it's bread, no. Like, I can't eat less bread today than I did yesterday. It doesn't work for me. But so I think it really is just get rid of the stuff that's in your kitchen and stuff that you can get rid of, that you don't need to eat, and just start eliminating stuff. And the more you eliminate, the better you'll feel anyway. Because I felt really great on keto. You know, I was eating the almond flours and that kind of stuff, and I was eating dairy, but I felt really great on it. And I lost 35 pounds on it, which I lost 35 pounds doing carnivore too. But I think a lot of that was inflammation, because I went down a whole shoe size. Like, yeah, that was shocking when my feet started swimming in my shoes, that I've been the same size for so many years. But my doctor said, yeah, well, it would make sense that you have inflammation in your feet too if you're on your feet. So I had to buy new shoes. So definitely just start eliminating stuff. And gluten and sugar are huge to get rid of. Yeah, I mean, you'll lose weight just from that. Yeah.
Nice advice. And how would you answer the criticism of carnivore that it's too restrictive?
Well, it depends on what you think is restrictive. Like, when I go to the grocery store now, I go straight to the meat department, and then I go right over to the eggs and bacon, and I walk right back out the store. I don't have to stroll up and down every aisle. What do I want to make for dinner this week? What do I want to cook for each meal? You know, we don't sit there every night and go, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want for dinner? You know, so that is a lot more freedom. And then cooking too. Like, cooking's so much easier and faster. It's a little messier for me. It's a lot of grease, but it's still easier and faster. So I would rather have the free time, not cooking and cleaning and strolling through a grocery store. That's restrictive to me. I don't like the grocery store. I'm not somebody who likes to stroll up and down the aisles and look at stuff. I just want to get in and get out. So that's not restrictive. I mean, that's way more freeing. Laying in bed 16 hours a day, that's pretty restrictive. So the fact that I'm not doing that anymore, you know, that's way more freeing for me. I like to be up doing stuff. I don't want to feel like I'm missing out on my whole life because I can't get out of bed. So it really just depends on how you look at it and what's restrictive. I mean, yeah, you can't go to the donut shop and get donuts anymore, but did you really feel good after you ate them anyway? And I will say, once you cut that stuff out, it will never taste as good as you remember, ever. Like, you know, you like, oh, this is going to taste so good. I haven't had it in a long time. It will not. I think carnivore changes your taste buds, and where that stuff just does not taste good anymore. So yeah, I don't think it's restrictive. I'm more restrictive. There's way more selection than what I eat anyway. I'm just restrictive in what I eat because it's what I like. And, you know, you could eat seafood, you could eat chicken and pork and all that stuff. I just choose not to. So it's not really that restrictive, actually, at all.
Yeah, agreed. Um, Danielle, is there a way that people can reach out to you? Do you have any social media or anything?
So I have social media, but I don't get on it very often. I have Facebook. It's just my name, Danielle Graychick, Graychik. So if you like message me through Facebook, I'll get it. I do have a YouTube channel, but I've never posted a video on it. I call myself the reluctant carnivore because I was a little reluctant to eat animals again, but I've never done a video. I always think I'm going to, and I just haven't gotten into it. But the best way would be through Facebook Messenger, just because those will come to my phone. I'm terrible at checking my emails. I get so much spam in there. I just don't even want to check it. Unless I know something's coming through, I'll go a week and not ever open it. So Facebook Messenger is the best one.
No, no worries. I'll link to that below. Danielle, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was nice meeting you.